is Gisela and thank you for being here in Aire Holístico. This topic that I am going to talk about today is about how we talk to ourselves and how these impact our lives and our emotions and thoughts. Self-dialogue, the key to managing anxiety. How much do I believe these stories that I tell to myself? Self-dialogue is that conversation that we all have all the time with ourselves. From the type of thoughts and perception we have of the circumstances and situations of our life to what we say to ourselves. For example, I decide what to think about the current world situation. I can think that everything is worse than before, and I can let myself be eaten by fear and uncertainty, or I can choose to see this whole situation as an opportunity to reinvent myself, renew myself, and look for new ways of living, either financially, socially, or in my family. We have the power to decide to see the positive or the negative side of each situation. I can decide if the situation is against me or is working on my favor. It all depends on perception and the lens and filter that I put to this thought. The type of words that I say to myself are the ones that reinforce the beliefs I have about myself. This means that our words can impact our beliefs and can change them if we are intended to do so. These words are also the ones that have the power to drive me into fear, anxiety, or stress. Or if I decide, they can be my support to calm me down, be at peace, and have mental and emotional well-being. The words I choose in my internal dialogue, the tone, and the language in general that I use to speak to myself make the big difference between being sad, happy, or totally depressed. We all have a self-dialogue. You just need to observe your own mind and your thoughts and the way they are presented to yourself and the roles that you are taking. Once we manage to make it conscious by observing our own thoughts, observing our own minds and the tone of these thoughts that we're having, we can use this internal dialogue for our own emotional well-being. I'm gonna share with you a technique that can be very useful for us to observe ourselves and to observe our self-talk. This technique is very simple and you just need to keep a diary where we write down all of our feelings and thoughts without censorship. Once you manage to become aware of self-talk, either by keeping a journal or by carefully observing your own mind, I invite you to ask yourself the following questions. How do you talk to yourself? How do you narrate an event or situation experienced? What are the messages that come to you from your own mind when faced with an event that worries you? What are your catastrophic fantasies? What are these stories that you tell to yourself? Do you use words like never, everything, nothing, horrible, terrible, great? These words are radical and absolutists, and reality is not radical. In fact, it has a lot of colors and shades. Another questions that you can ask to yourself are, is the tone of your self-talk sound more like a friend, a victim, or a tyrant? How much and how often do you have self-criticism in your internal dialogue? Does your self-talk seem to be on your side or against you? Does your inner dialogue help you understand yourself better, or does it confuse you more? When you observe what you say to yourself, do you feel happy, sad, angry? If we want our self-dialogue to be in our favor and not against us, it's very important to understand that my dialogue directly influences my emotions. For example, Robert has distanced himself from his friends and can tell himself these three types of stories, or he can play three different roles to himself: the role of a victim, the role of a tyrant, and the role of being empathetic with himself. When we talk to each other as victims, we say things like, "I'm always alone. My friends don't look for me. Friendship doesn't exist. I don't think anyone cares about me." So we tend to think and believe that everything around us is the responsible of what we are living. So we tend to evade our responsibility of the situations that we're facing in our lives. When we talk to ourselves like tyrants, we say things like, "I did something that seemed terrible to him. Nobody misses me. I always talk about boring things and everyone gets fed up with me all the time. All people abandon me. I'm the worst. In the end, I have what I deserved." If you pay attention to the tone of these phrases, when we talk to ourselves like tyrants, we are punishing ourselves. And we think that everything is because of us. And we feel guilty and we blame ourselves. When we talk to ourselves in an understanding and empathetic way, we say things like, "The truth is that I have distanced myself from my friends. In fact, it has been a mutual thing. Friendship is like any other bond. It evolves. I am going to think on actions that I can do to recover the connection that I had with them. I am not thinking that everything will be like before, because I understand that each stage has its moment." Phrases in this self-talk, when we are being empathetic and flexible with us, we are understanding that the full responsibility is not on our side. We are dividing the responsibility to the circumstances, our lives, their lifestyle, our lifestyle, different ways of living, several things, and we're being more flexible and being more empathetic with us and with the world. So this is much healthier to our mind and to our energy when we are talking to ourselves in a nicer way. Were you able to identify the importance of how we talk to ourselves and how these three different types of self-dialogue can make us feel in a very different way? Think and reflect on how you would have spoken to yourself in that same situation of the example. If you suffer from anxiety, your tolerance for uncertainty is usually low and you constantly have the need to have everything under control. Today, I am going to share with you 3 best practices in times of anxiety. Number 1, be objective and try to demonstrate your thoughts or fears with real facts. You can ask yourself the following questions. What evidence do I have of what I fear? What evidence do I have that my fear is actually becoming true? How possible is this? Number 2, our thoughts and emotions are closely linked, and our emotions influence our thoughts and vice versa. So be aware of your emotion. Negative sensations and emotions can cause us to automatically produce negative thoughts. So ask yourself the following questions. How do I classify the intensity of what I feel? Am I being dominated by anxiety, by fear, by sadness? And try to change that sensation or that emotion. If you're in an environment that you're not feeling comfortable, you can just take a walk, have some fresh air, and let this uncomfortable sensation just go away. This will help a lot to not let the anxiety increase. Number 3. Having useful and beneficial thoughts will help us to have control of our emotions. Ask yourself, what is the purpose of what I'm thinking? Does it help me to overcome my anxiety and panic? How much is it affecting me? So, when you are becoming more conscious about what you think, you can choose to think in a more flexible, understanding, and empathetic way towards ourselves. So, if you have the choice to feel better, would you take it? So, I know that this is something that we have from habits, and it's just automatic for us to just play these roles of a victim or a tyrant. But think that this is for your own benefit, for your own mental and emotional well-being. So choose better. Try to be more understanding with yourself and with the world. If our thoughts are healthier, our emotional well-being is healthier as well. Negative thoughts are more extremists, radicals, and absolutists. And positive thoughts are expressed in a more flexible, neutral, and open ways. Other technique to manage anxiety is to make a list of our fears and reflect on them. And check how much are you letting yourself to be controlled by these fears. A person who is constantly talking negatively to himself or herself is developing a low self-esteem, which will not allow him or her to have healthy relationships. And it will be difficult for him or her to achieve goals and desires in life. At the same time, it promotes states of fear, anxiety, and stress that lead to constant emotional discomfort. Remember that whatever we do, we can't stop talking to ourselves. It's just part of having a wonderful mind. So choose to talk to yourself nice, soft, positive, like you really are your best friend. Once you do this, get ready to start a radical change in your life. If you want to learn more about self-talk and self-dialogue and how to improve this in your life, don't hesitate to contact us. You can send us an email to info@aireholístico.com. Thank you for listening. Remember that you are in Aire Holístico. See you on our next talk. Thank you. Have a happy day.